Hey, I'm Reggie Ponder, the Real Critic, and this is the Real Critic Roundtable, where African American critics come to discuss, debate, and have some fun. I got my friends Katia Woods from CupOfSoulShow.com, and I have KB. Uh, it's the voice. No. It's KB living the life of KB. No, what is it, KB?
It's through the lens of Lady KB. Reggie
I
does this every time. He can't remember a single thing, but that's okay. I
I remember.
appreciate you.
I remember it for sure. But through the lens of Lady KB, and hopefully you guys will go out and check all those out. Katya, we'll get started before we talk about our first movie. You're talking about a couple of pieces you're working on. You might not want to talk about that piece right now, but what piece are you working on, and where can people check it out?
I just dropped an interview with Omari Hardwick and Matthias for Army of the Dead. That's on the YouTube channel for Couple Soul Show. And then, of course, you can read my review of Army of the Dead, which is out today, and we're going to discuss it on the show. So that was the latest.
Excellent. KB, through the lens of Lady KB, where we know where everybody can find it. What you're working on that you want to pub here?
Yeah, so it's Army of the Dead Day. So my interviews with Omari and Matthias are out now for The Beat. So you can go ahead and check those out. And of course, you can check out our conversation here on this blockbuster film.
All right, excellent. Well, with that, we got it is Army of the Dead Day, Army of the Dead Weekend, Army of the Dead. So, KB, tell us what this one is about, and tell us what you think about this one.
Yeah, so this is from Zack Snyder. Everyone knows Zack Snyder, especially now with the Snyderverse cut of the Justice League that hit earlier. So this is from the mind of Zack Snyder. It is a zombie heist film set in Las Vegas. It is wild. It is crazy. Honestly, I went into it with no expectations and I left thrilled. I thought, you know what? I'm here for the action. I'm here for a zombie apocalypse always. I'm here for a heist film. I'm here for people, a ragtag group of people that you wouldn't necessarily see together in any form or any capacity coming together to steal money. Although I will say this, now y'all, what are we going to do with this money? It's a zombie apocalypse. 98% of the people I feel like are zombies. So what exactly are we doing with the money? Was actually my biggest question throughout the film. Like, listen, I'm here for it. Go steal this money. But also, what do you do when you steal this money and it's still a zombie apocalypse? That's my greatest question. But it was fun. I had a good time. I think it was wild. It was crazy. It was exactly what you should expect from a zombie heist film.
So are you sure? Because it's okay, but are you sure you just didn't like it because Omari was in there? Because if that's the case, I'm an Omari fan, so I ain't just saying but that was your reason, right? For real.
Listen. Omari is a cutie, like love to see him in some things, especially post Power, because child, the things that he was doing as Ghost were really sending me. So I need to see a different side of Omari on screen. So I'm here for it. Listen, his character in this film, a philosopher, he's good with a saw. Listen, I'm into it. But mostly I was into it because I do like a good zombie situation. And these zombies were wild and crazy. And then, I miss old school heist films, like I'm missing Ocean's 11. I'm missing all of that feel, and it's a combination of both. So how could you not like it?
Okay, so because both of you guys got the interviews, and I didn't do any interviews for this one, which I'm not upset about because I love it when you guys are excelling. I'm going to jump in and kind of sandwich in between you and Katya and say, so I'm with you that my expectations, I had no real expectations for this particular film. I will tell you, I didn't want to watch it because I am the person, and I've told you guys this before, that I am squirming and kicking and moving on anything that's even remotely scary. So there's this scene where they're in Las Vegas and they're walking through some zombies trying to do it in a way that they don't get noticed. I am sweating bullets. I am having a problem. I'm like, oh no. and I don't want to cough. It's just too much for me. But I will say this, because I am a scaredy cat, it is what it is that it was smarter than I thought it would be. It has that regular plot line of there's somebody trying to manipulate some people, and the people are going to go do it for the money. I understand your question about what they were going to do with the money, but there is a zone where there aren't zombies, and so that's the money is still going to have currency, if you will. So I understood that. My thing is that, do you really think you're going to get out of this? I mean, they had some very scary creatures, let me say, in this one, and it was a little bit much for me, but I think they did a good job. I thought it was actually smart how they weaved a few things in and out there. Katya.
I didn't have any expectations. I mean, I like some of Zack Snyder's films, but I'm not like a Snyder fan. In terms of like his work, I am a fan of his because, you know, he stood up to the Snyder Bros. And, you know, he did go through something really, losing a child is horrendous, and you don't want to wish that on anybody. But I like this film. This film is exactly what summer movies are. Do you know what I mean? It is fun. Is unpredictable. It is not what we normally, the same old, you know, that we get. I like that Dave Bautista was an imperfect hero. You know, he was, you know, he had issues, he had problems, and you know, normally the hero is so put together, top to bottom, and he comes in, Johnny to the rescue, and Dave isn't that guy. I love the camaraderie between Matthias and Omari's characters, you know, Riff and Raph. I mean, I think if there's a little spin-off there, you know what I mean, that you could do with those two. And I agree with KB. It was good to see Omari play someone not so serious, because I think he's still working really hard to shake Ghost. You know, he's capable of doing other things, and it's just a lot of fun. Again, and I also like all the characters within that bunch were great, and it's a great like little escape movie, you know, and it wasn't as scary as I thought it was, but the dog was that did creep me up a little bit. I don't know, dog, werewolf, whatever.
The tiger.
Yeah,
the tiger.
like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna take your word for it, because it was like, what is that? It's very disturbing. And kudos to the makeup department, you know, because they gave us some things that were like, yeah, yeah, you know what I mean. And the other lesson is, when they tell you not to ask about something, not to touch it, mind your business.
See, I am so glad that you have said this. So I have a problem with a couple of movies I've been watching of late where you're like, you're going to go off on your own, which is something that happens in here. Really, you're going to go off on your own, and you got a little pea shooter. At least if you go off on your own, can you take all the big weaponry you could take?
You gotta at least take a bomb, though. I feel you. Like, you have to at least take a bomb. At least a bomb.
Like you need a couple grenades. And I'm with KB though on the, where were you going with the, like, you know?
I understand. Yes, like to Reggie's point, they do have a zone that doesn't have zombies. I'm gonna keep all of that in quotes, because let me tell you why. You couldn't trust the government in the beginning of the film, so why would you trust them now? So I don't believe that this zone is completely zombie free. Like, I'm like, okay, y'all, sure it is. Like,
exactly. But I'm with KB. Like, what was the plan? We were gonna get this money and go where? Like, you know, from our understanding, the world is not what it was, but I mean, I understood the rich guy. He probably has some things lined up, and he probably's got his whole situation nicely. And, but yes, so what were we doing with the money? And how much was it? Let's say that things went a certain way. Who gets how much? How do you determine who gets how much?
Well, half the people,
100,000.
Well, the three. See, I like this.
I did too.
I like this. Go ahead, KB, because I like what happened with the money now.
I did too. So I liked the original plan, like, okay, we'll split it evenly depending on what happens. But of course, I feel like you're going into a zombie apocalypse. You have to know that some people not gonna make it. I mean, like, you have to expect that of yourself anyway. You can't expect to live in a zombie apocalypse doing a heist. So I was like, oh, okay, by the time we get to the end, I don't know who's gonna be alive. So I don't know how this money split is gonna go. So you just gotta be like, it's basically the honor code, essentially, like the honor code amongst thieves. Like,
there was this discussion where the helicopter pilot says, look, I might not be the number one most important person up in here, but let me look around for a second. I'm pretty darn important. I'm probably number two because y'all ain't getting up out of here. Well, I mean, to rein it all back in, for me, not liking these types of movies, I thought they did a really good job. I agree with you guys. I think is very, very entertaining. I think that they make enough character mistakes that makes it where you're like, where you start to question and really get into some things. So they're probably not what you would call mistakes, but mistakes for me, because I'm like, why would somebody really do that? Because if I'm the person who's going in there, I'm gonna be doing some different stuff than some of those people. I'm always gonna be with weapons. I'm gonna try to be on the buddy system. There's just a couple of things that I'm gonna do to try, and I'm never gonna let the pilot be by herself. I'm just telling you that. Somebody gonna be with the pilot at all times. But hey, I like this. I think Zack Snyder did a good job with this, and for me, this is a watch it. KB.
Yeah, it's 100% watch it for me. I feel like, to Reggie's point, the pilot and the safe opener. Those are the two people that I need to stay alive, because you're the one that's gonna get this money, and you're the one that's gonna fly us out. So really, I don't care about anyone else, but I need to guard these two and watch their backs. And that should have been the plan that they had all the way through the film. Now, of course, we know things don't always go right. But yeah, for me, I wasn't watching this for the writing. Like, I was really watching for the acting and the zombies and the action. That's really that's what I needed. And so I appreciate Dave, because, again, to Katya's point, his character is imperfect, but he did the job. He did it well. They even had time to toss in a little bit of romance. So, I'm like, and just a hint of it too. It wasn't even a lot, but just a little hint of it. So I said, you know what, Zach, this is a watch it for me. So
Katya.
Absolutely. It's fun, and it has a lot of kikis in it. And it's nice to see a certain stereotype be broken.
Excellent. Well, good. So it's a watch it from all of us. So Katya, our second movie for this week is Pink, All I Know So Far. And tell us what this one is about. It's a documentary. Tell us what this one is about and your thoughts on it.
This is about Pink being on her world tour and bringing her family, and you get to see how she balances motherhood with being a mega superstar. And it's really, really sweet. And I think it's really important because it highlights, once again, the things that women have to do in order to be working, in order to pursue their passion. Her kids are super cute, super, super cute. And, her husband, kudos to him for not being in his feeling and having a big ego. Like, a lot of people don't know, her husband was a professional BMX motorcyclist for a very long time. He's revered in that community. He has his own situation, but he understands that in order for her to pursue her passion, to do what she loves, this is how they got to do it. So he's on the road, and he basically is there to make sure that the kids are good so she can focus on what she's doing. I think this movie was done really well. Unlike, I feel like the other film we talked about with J Balvin, she is very much aware of who she is, what she needs around her in order to function. And her environment is way more healthier than J Balvin's. Just if you want to look at two different music situations. She's from my area. She's from Doylestown, 20250. For those of you that are from the 215 area. And also she went through a lot as a kid, She talked very honestly about how the label wanted to pigeonhole her, even though Ellery Reed said no. I believe her. She's immensely talented. The woman can sing her face off, and she does the acrobatics, and she's in incredible shape. She has a gymnastics background, so that explains, all the tumbling and all that stuff. But again, I mean, we often lament entertainers and make it seem like they're selfish, but we forget that they're people and they have families, and the demand is, in order for you to keep your name out there, you have to tour. And again, it's nice to see her work. And I love also that she says, you know what, I'm not perfect. And that's so important for moms to hear. I always say that for young moms. We all have moments where we don't know, the kid is crying and we're crying, and we're like, what, how am I going to get this kid to 18 or further less to next year if I can't even get him down for a nap, or she down for a nap? So it's nice to see, it lets regular moms know, you know what, I'm not the only one. Pink, who got all that money, who got all of that, she can't get her kid to calm down and have a seat too. So it's not.
That's funny. That's really some good thing. I think that they do a good job with this too. I think they do a couple of things. We first get to see her as a boss, and I don't mean as a boss because she is badass. I mean as the boss. And to see her running her business, running those people it's inspiring, and just it's uplifting to see how she handles that as the lead. We also get to see her as a athlete, and you talked about this. Is that, and I mean, yes, an athlete, not. I mean, she's not just standing on the stage singing and dancing. And dancers, I'm not trying to, yeah, because I make you mad if I said something bad about the dancers. So, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying she dances, she tumbles, and that aerial work that she does is nothing short of phenomenal. You wouldn't see that unless you were going to Vegas or Cirque du Soleil or something of that nature. So she is a real athlete, and that's a fantastic. But then the point that you make is that we see her as a mom, and she doesn't she's not just around, she's actually present. When she's around her kids, she is present, going on excursions with them when they get to these different cities and things of that nature. And then we get to see her as a parenting partner. And I want to make a point on this, is that I didn't say as a wife, because we really don't see her as a wife. And there's a reason for that. As a man, I understand this, is that she got the work and she got the kids. They don't show us those intimate moments with her and her husband because they got small kids. So it is what it is, but we don't get to see that. So if people are saying, oh, we get to see her as a wife, I'm gonna just tell you from the man's perspective, we don't get to see her as a wife. We get to see her doing all the stuff that she has to do, and she got 2 jobs. That third job just kind of falls off. It is what it is. But
also, which is really important, is the support her husband gives her. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And the fact that when you are that famous, as we saw in the other film, is you need people around you that are going to keep it 1000% real. Because the people that just enable you and just fluff you up and try to say, well, you don't got to do this and these people are haters, it doesn't always end well. But her husband is that voice of reason. Do you know what I mean? He is there to be like, this ain't you, or this ain't cool. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, they're perfect. They're perfect. They're perfect parenting partners to me.
Yeah, and she acknowledges that, listen, I'm a handful. He's an amazing person. He's more patient than me, and he's great. He's more patient with the kids. We are a good balance. My husband's like that too. My husband is very like, I'm more like loud and, emotional and all that. And my husband is more even keel. And I think that's super, super important. Two high-strung people should never be married to one another. That's just my opinion.
So you talking about Ozzy and Sharon Osbourne? Is that what you're trying to say?
Maybe. But
no, I feel
like when you have someone who is secure in who they are, and they're calm, and but at the same time, they're not afraid to tell you the truth, it helps you tremendously.
No,
We're gonna tell the truth. She can look at him and be like, "What about this?" He gonna be like, "Baby, this is a mess." But again, also, I like the other part that you mentioned. She doesn't. A lot of famous people, and I'm not judging because I'm not walking a mile in your shoes. They have the nanny do all this stuff because their fear is like, if I go out with my family, then it's going to be chaos, and my kids are, you know what I mean, and rightfully so in some circumstances, but not her. The security is there, but they're not that overpowering where they're invading the family time.
no,
They
for
are,
sure.
they're going sightseeing, they're doing stuff, and she's right. The kids are going to remember the show part, and I'm a daughter of a singer, and I was on the road with my parents. The parts that I remember most from my childhood are hanging out in a hotel, us going sightseeing. The reason why I love movies is because we would go to the movies on my mom's day off. It's all of those things that stay with you way longer than any of the money, any of the crap that people bought for you. So I do commend her for that, for her being like, you know what? We're going to be in the Netherlands and we're not going to see X, Y, and Z. That's crazy. We're going to be in this place and we're not going to try this. And and she's doing it.
She
Not
she she
with the
is
name.
she is
She's
absolutely doing it, and that is so to be commendable. Two other points I want to make before we get out of here is that this is not something not to like, but it was definitely something noticeable. She did have an adult beverage more than once because I saw that wine glass in every freaking scene. I
I
just
do
found that
think,
to be funny. That's all.
but I
Uh,
do think that's good though, because again, I've never been that type of parent where you're like, I don't drink, I don't do this. I've always been very honest with my daughter about my shenanigans in my youth. And I think again, it gives you
it does.
makes
It
your
does.
kids more comfortable to come to you because they're seeing you as a full person. The people that are like, I was perfect all the time, I didn't have sex until I was married and all this. And then your kids later on find out that you really didn't dude, you weren't as perfect as you were. They're looking at you like, come on now.
No, you're absolutely right. And the last thing I want to mention though is that we didn't mention the music. Is that they use the music to and connect it to the mom. And so for those people who love Pink songs and music, the music is the soundtrack of her life, which is the soundtrack of this documentary. You will definitely be happy that you get that. But it's not about the music, but you will get both because you got to get Pink, the artist, but you also have to get Alicia, the mom, and so or the person, and you get both of those. I think they do a good job. I will say this is that, as you know, I like A Boy from Magellan, if I could say it right. But anyway, I liked it. I do think that you're right. There's some total differences, but I think what both of them do is that they both get you an understanding of who these people are, how they think, how they move, and that type of thing. Now, whether you like them or not, that's a different thing. But I think both of them do a good job of getting you inside of the inner workings of these individuals. I think Pink, all I know so far is really saying that, hey, I'm not perfect and I'm human. And I think that's all we know so far. So now we're going to move into quick hits. And the quick hits there's a couple of them. The first one is about the summer blockbusters are really returning to the theaters. I mean, we're going to get Fast and Furious 9, Black Widow, In the Heights, A Quiet Place 2. We'll talk about A Quiet Place 2 next week. Space Jam, New Legacy. We got Cruella. And they all are coming out, and they're expected to kind of say to some people, hey, maybe you might put that remote control, maybe you might put the remote control down. What do you guys think?
I think it depends on where you live, right? Out by me, our theaters are bigger, and our theaters are still aware. Do you know what I mean? I went to a screening at AMC, and you have to fill out a health questionnaire before you can enter. Do you know what I mean? Like, you haven't been around anybody around COVID, blah, 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 blah. Regal had a lot of their theaters closed and is slowly rolling them back open. Mine just reopened. Mine was one of the latter ones. Other things like the food is very limited, right? My movie tavern had open bar, had all this stuff. No, you got to order your food off a very specific menu. You got to pre-order it, and then they bring it to you. Do you know what I mean? So there's least amount of contact. The one thing is that I do like is because it's making theaters be more cleaner. We all have had experiences where you're like, what in the world? You get a show on here and you get a show on the floor. And I think that is really important. Again, it depends on where you live. Are my theaters packed? No. But I do see more families on the weekend going, and people are ready to move. My opinion, I don't think we're going to see back to normal kind-of-ish until like the fall Christmas season, when hopefully majority of the country is fully vaccinated, because we're still finding folks that are like, you know, I don't know where they get their information from, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no doubt about it. KB.
Yeah. So my issue with the questionnaire is that people lie. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, if you have to trust the honor system, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know that I can trust some of these people. But I do think it's important for the movie theaters to still keep doing social distancing. You know, I know a few people who have gone on the weekends and they said, oh, it really wasn't crowded at all. But I honestly think in order to maintain this structure throughout the summer, they're gonna need to stick to, I think it would be advantageous to just stick to advanced pre-sales only. Like, you have to purchase, you know, your ticket online, and you have to select your seat online first. That way they know the capacity, and there isn't like one of those things where you show up to the theater, you can buy a ticket and it messes up. Like, I think that that's a way to keep us, you know, at a limited capacity and social distancing prior to, as Katia said, like moving into the holiday season, because I feel like by the holiday season, they're going to up that capacity way more. And because there's a lot of big films coming out around the holiday season, and I think they're going to turn it up a notch. So it'll be interesting. I'm curious to see what the numbers do, though, for like Cruella and the Heights, Black Widow in theaters, because I do know a lot of people who are still apprehensive and will keep that remote, as Reggie said, we'll keep that remote handy so they can watch it at home until they feel fully comfortable going back to the theater.
So this is really interesting, KB, to your point, is that I think that people are bursting at the seams to come back. And I believe that, I know there's a lot of us talking about we'll stay at home, but I think there's a lot of people, a lot of demand for people to say, I got to get out the house. My wife is one of them. She's like, I got to get out this house. If I'm gonna be in this house with you one more day, oh, damn, did I just talk about myself? I mean, if I have to be, but really, she's like, I got to get out. And I believe that there are just so many people like that. And what I think is going to happen is that the theaters are going to go the way of the airlines, is that for the summer blockbuster season, they're not going to be doing the social distancing thing. I think that I think by the time we get to Fast and Furious 9, it'll be like not every other seat. It'll be like every other seat, because you know, the airlines stopped, you know, letting that middle seat out, because the airlines were like, look, we're flying, and it's costing us a lot of money to fly this plane, and it's going to be the same thing, I think, for the theaters. They're going to be like, we're going to see what's going to happen with consumers if consumers will just come on back and do it. And I think they're going to do it. In Chicago, Lollapalooza is coming back, which is one of our biggest concerts ever, and they're going to do that. And if you've ever been to Lollapalooza, it is one of the most craziest, biggest group of people ever. And I don't see how you do it without making a crazy, biggest group as ever. And the lineup is phenomenal. All these artists are coming. I just think the theaters are going to say, we got to get our money. And so we're going to open this up. They might still do the food stuff that Katia is talking about. I think that's going to be true, is that the limited menu and all that. But hey, we're going to open it up. That's what I think. So, all right. With that, the other thing, as we talk about movies, my question is with Fast and Furious 9, they're in China already, opening day in China is over 50 million. They're thinking that over that 3-day weekend, I mean, the pre-sales are going to be, the pre-sales is somewhere like 30 something million. So they think the opening weekend is going to be like over 50. They're guesstimating that the 3-day opening weekend is going to be somewhere around 162 million. And then for the whole run, it's going to be somewhere around $340 million. So China is doing something a little bit different, I guess, because people are going. People are getting ready to go back into the theater. Any thoughts about that, Katya?
Well, you got to remember, they had their situation under control way before we did. That's the key. In the areas that they are releasing these movies, certain parts of Europe, New Zealand, they did what they were supposed to do. So, also the Chinese have a way better system than us. They already were wearing masks prior to COVID because their air quality is not the best, right? So for them wearing masks and doing washing hands, that's already in their DNA. And not to mention is that the way that they have it set up, which we would never do here because people would be screaming freedom and all this stuff. They have an app so they can keep track of, if you do get COVID, of where you're going, so they can keep an eye if a certain area start being bad again. Like things start to move, then they're like, okay, we need to jump in there before it goes all the way out. And I definitely am sure that they're more diligent about vaccinations. People are more willing to do it because, of that type of thing. So I would say that's the difference. Again, New York couldn't do it. New York and LA were shut down. Why were they shut down longer?
All right, KB.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, to Katya's point, when your parents say if you do your schoolwork, then you could go outside. That's what China did. They did the work, and now they can go outside. So I 100% believe that Fast 9 will have those numbers in China because they got it under control, because they are navigating this as a new normal and in a different way. So, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I'm super excited about Fast 9. I've watched every single movie. Are they ridiculous? Absolutely. Does the writing even matter? Never. Okay. So, but I cannot wait to see it. So I'm gonna be right there.
So here's my problem. So I didn't even want to get off on a tangent, but you made this happen. So here's my problem with Fast 9, is that the Fast and Furious franchise, I watch it, I have a nice time, but I now have to do what you just said. Just know there's going to be ridiculousness when people falling out of buildings, saving themselves when they're hitting a car, cars jumping from one building to the next, that the stuff that's happening is just unfathomable. So there's just no way that stuff is going to happen. But that's not how this franchise started out. For the car enthusiasts, for the people who like that drag racing, the carjacking, and not the kind of carjacking that's going on here in Chicago, but not that kind. But who like that whole community, that community got decimated when they moved it to making these people from real people to superheroes. And I, for one, am sad because I love the real people. I love the real stuff that was happening in their lives instead of this superhero stuff. They might as well give them all capes and tights, because this has turned into a superhero franchise. And I, for one, don't love that part of the franchise.
That's fair. I mean, I feel like that's not for everyone, but I still feel like, listen, in this one, we're basically going to space. Like, where else can we go after this?
Oh, right. No, you're absolutely right. The UFO is going to come down and challenge them to a race, and they're going to get into some kind of vehicles, and Will Smith is going to jump in and show him, and Jeff Goldblum are going to jump in and show him how to drive the UFO. No, it's crazy stuff. But okay, all right, I digress. Kathy, you want to say something? Because
we need to be done after 9, please. Dear Jesus, please.
I think so. I think they did announce there's one more. Like, I think they announced there's one more. I feel like they did. I'm gonna have to look it up, but I think there might be one more.
They might as well. I mean, they might as well because if nothing else, Luda get a check. So I'm happy for you, Luda. You're getting a check. All right. So here's my question. This is to you, Katya, and KB. You jump in next. Is that too much ish, blackish, grownish, youngish? Now brownish, possibly old-ish? Is it too much-ish?
I will say, out of all of them, the most interesting would be Ruby, and I forgot what his name is on the show. They probably would be the most fun because they're the most craziest. I mean, Ruby and I mean, Jennifer is a force to be reckoned with, and for her to have an opportunity. I mean, I just love how when she walks in, she goes, Rainbow. The way she says her name, just kind of like, I know your name, but I can't stand you. And that's all in just the way she says the name. So I feel like that would be the most fun, seeing them and their shenanigans. Can you imagine if they were in an old folks home? Oh my God, it would be a mess. But I am going to give them the benefit of the doubt with brownish. I think the title scares people because now people are going to say we're going to have this caramel or Hayela Latinx family. And I hope after a lot of discourse and conversations that Ava Longoria has learned her lesson that the diaspora is not just caramelish, olivish, and yellowish. But Kenya's making this money. Y'all can complain as much as you want. I'm gonna get my checks. I'm gonna set up my kids. I'm gonna continue, dressing like a rapper and living my best life. So y'all can complain, but I'm running to the bank. So we are going to get. And also the other thing is, right now there isn't on mainstream television, on streaming, a Latinx show. There isn't on mainstream. So that's another reason why this thing is going to get greenlit.
Yeah, I am happy for Kenya. I mean, I would absolutely make your money. The question still is that when you look at shows that keep spinning off different things, is it too much-ish? And so your thoughts, KB?
To Katya's point, she's right. There is no Latinx representation. So on that side, I am happy. But I personally feel like it is too much. Like we are just spinning and spinning and spinning. Like, let's come up with some original concepts. I feel like, this is just my personal opinion, Kenya's Netflix show, which the name escapes me right now. Yes. Black AF is basically still Blackish. Like, I just feel like it's very one note, like these ideas, and I just want more.
Okay.
I actually haven't watched Blackish in a very long time. I'm trying to get into Grownish now because I've heard, it's a different vibe, it's a different feel. And honestly, like, Freeform has some gems that people are not actually watching. So, I'm trying to give Grownish a chance. But again, listen, I'm here for more Latinx representation for sure. But to Katya's point, yeah, I think Oldish might have actually been the most exciting one because I love Lawrence Fishburne. It just seeing him kind of in this role as a grandfather is really great. And so, I'm like, both of their characters and how they play off of each other, Jennifer is crazy and I love to see it. And so I'm like, come on. So that probably would have been the most intriguing storyline to me. But, here we are.
There you go.
I should say this. I should say to RIP to Mixed-ish because, one thing about Mark Paul is always going to be in a show with a Black woman lead. He is into it. But then they canceled them. And it makes me so upset. So, I'm sad. They did it with Pitch, sad. They did it with his zombie limited series show, which actually was really good too, sad. And now look, Mixed-ish. I'm like, y'all better put some respect on Mark Paul's name.
Talk about a child actor that transitioned into an adult without the lunacy. Unlike the other guy, Costco Rick, he is it's a really nice, and the other thing, people keep forgetting that he's biracial. His mother is Asian. So he comes from a perspective where he's going to be more open to working with women of color. So, you know, that's the other thing too. For him to have a black co-star is not, you know, he's like, we're gonna do, and I like the show because again, the kids were hilarious. The grandfather, one thing Kenya does do right when he casts the older
The
people,
grandparents, yes.
he does not make them politically
He
correct.
does not miss.
Yeah,
Your old heads are, you know.
and I agree. I don't even think that he messes up with these shows. I agree that Black AF is very, very similar to Blackish, but it is for a different audience because it gets a little bit more R-rated, if you will. So that probably stuff that he had to hold back with on Blackish, he can be like, oh, we can go out and do that. So that's fine. I mean, actually trying to figure out different audiences. I mean, if I had a sponsor, I'd talk about a product that does that very well, that has 15 different branches and stuff, but I don't have a sponsor, so I'm not going to do it. You're not going to fake me into saying the name of that product. But anyway, last thing, and KB, I want to get you before you left because it would be crazy for me to have this show for us not to talk about Paul Mooney. Paul Mooney passed, and a lot of people don't really understand his greatness. He was Richard Pryor's right-hand dude. This dude wrote so much stuff for Richard Pryor. And what a lot of people don't know is when he was asked when Richard Pryor was asked to come on Saturday Night Live, Richard said, "Oh, I'll come. I got a couple of requirements. One was he wanted his ex-wife to do a monologue. That was kind of weird. But the other one was that if I'm coming, Paul Mooney coming with me." And Paul Mooney came up with that skit where Chevy Chase and Richard Pryor, they're doing that word association skit. I don't know if you guys have seen that one, but it was one of the most talked about episodes and skits in season 1 of Saturday Night Live. And a lot of people think that that's what kind of helped to catapult Saturday Night Live into the next thing. Paul Mooney was a force. I mean, a real force. And I just wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity to talk about it. KB, any thoughts?
Yeah, so he's actually from the same small town that my family is from. My dad's family is from. So it's interesting because he is truly a force. And what Richard Pryor did in the sense of making sure that Paul always had an opportunity, whatever opportunity he had, making sure that Paul always had an opportunity is the way that it should be in this industry. You know, Paul Mooney is essentially one of the, I'm going to just call it like godfathers of comedy, right? For us, a comedic legend, not just on the writing side, but even on the acting side, you know? And so it would just be remiss not to just give him all of his flowers. So I have been loving seeing all of the tributes, particularly from Black comedians who have learned a lot from him on social media. I love to see it. They have been honoring him in so many great ways. And it's more than time. So, you know, what I would like to see, because I do think that Eddie Murphy did such a fantastic job of bringing Dolomite to the screen, is if we had something like that for Paul. And, you know, even if they did it in tandem, they did it with like Richard Pryor and Paul Mooney and just kind of, you know, their story of coming up, I would even be open to that. But if we just, you know, were able to kind of see that happen in our lifetime, I would be happy. I want to see it because it's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes too that you're unaware of. And again, to Reggie's point, like that iconic SNL skit, you know what I mean? Like there are hundreds more of ideas and things that Paul has done and Paul has said that people don't even know about. And so I would like to see, you know, him get his due.
Katya.
I mean, you pretty much said it, you know. It's a shame that we don't get to, I mean, unlike Keenan Ivory Wayans and Robert Townsend, when they did Raw with Eddie Murphy, they ended up being able to use that to catapult their own careers and get their own shine and get their own flowers. Unfortunately, Paul Mooney came out at a time where we didn't have the ability to spread his name like that. And so a lot of folks know him as a stand-up comedian because that's what they've seen, but they don't know that he's put gas in so many tanks. And also his comedy was very smart. He's not, how can I say this? He's not, I hate to bring this up, but Kevin Hart thinks he's like intellectually funny. And I'm not saying he's not smart. I want to be very clear. Paul Mooney is that old school intellectual funny, like George Carlin. Like they make you laugh, but at the same time be like, wait a minute, is he serious? You know what I mean? And that's a genre of comedy that's very old. Dave Chappelle does a little bit of it, but that style of comedy is dying because now everybody wants the fast clicks. Everybody wants that instant fame. Whereas these guys weren't just talking about, you know, obvious things, but they were talking about the world and what it's like to walk through the world as a Black man. And he used comedy to do that. I agree with KB. It is a shame. And we got to be better about this as a community, that we don't give people their flowers until they're dead. Now everybody wants to do tributes. Everybody wants to talk about it. The man was here and you should have given him his flowers. You know, BET should have done something for him, or TV One Honors or whatever. You know what I mean? We have to start, or not wait until people are in their 90s. You know, Cicely Tyson, we were blessed to have her for as long as we did, but we should have been giving her flowers. So yep. I just feel like once people are 50, get on it, because they may not be around next year. You know?
So I'd like to make a comment real quickly, is that at least this is to both of you guys' point, at least the Black comic community gave him his flowers while he was here. And what I mean by that is that Richard Pryor made sure that he took him where he needed to go. Dave Chappelle took him with him. In Living Color, the Wayans and them took him with him. Robert Townsend had him with him. Spike Lee had him with him. So that the community, the new, it kind of goes back to a point that you were making a little earlier, Kachi, about something else, saying, well, I'm a Black woman. This was written about Black women and blah, 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 and Latino women. I got a perspective. Well, the Black folks in this case were like, yeah, we don't only want to use Paul Mooney, we need Paul Mooney. That his perspective and what he brings to the table. I mean, he created Homie the Clown. That whole skit of Negro Damas, and a lot of people know that just goes. I mean, what he did with Dave Chappelle, and he wrote, but he was also on Dave Chappelle. So this dude was, at least the people in the community, I think, gave him his flowers while we're here, and I applaud them for doing so, because every comic or every actor that we have don't really get that chance. So that's my thought on that. We'll move into our last segment, and that last segment is the best thing I saw. The best thing I saw this week was the Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron James hitting the game-winning shot. That's the best thing I saw. I know I've watched a whole lot of stuff, but I just want to say, nah, Philly, take that, Philly. Nah, you take that. Philly ain't not going to do nothing. That's the best thing I saw.
Well, our team is young, and we finally have a good head coach, and it makes a difference. I am proud of my Sixers. I am proud that they have the #1 seat. We've come a long way from, it's been a long time since we had something to cheer about, to there were some times where our professional team looked like a JV squad, and it was sad, you know, where you were just like, who is this? How did he get a contract? To now we go, hey, this was a good hire, you know what I mean? And I think the team is only going to get better as Doc gets his guys in there, you know, because right now he's playing with a squad that is not his type of players. Predominantly, he's kind of had to make chicken soup with what was given to him. But I definitely feel as though he's going to get better, and the city likes him. This Philadelphia, contrary to popular opinion, is a basketball city. You know, from the Palestra to Temple, Drexel, LaSalle, Villanova, St. Joe's, we are a basketball city. and it's nice to be able to not go, okay, well, I guess we got to watch the Phils because we know what it is.
That's for real.
Why Reggie's making jokes? We are proud of our 76ers.
I'm happy for the 76ers too, because Doc is a Chicago area, I say Chicago, not Chicago, but Chicago area guy. And so really glad that always happy to see when he's doing well. And hopefully he has a really good mix behind it. Hey, I'm Reggie Ponder, the Real Critic. This is the Real Critic Roundtable. That is Katia Woods at cupofsoulshow.com. And you can check me out on Twitter and Instagram at The Real Critic. That's REEL. Until then, we'll see you guys next time.